Доброго дня, колеги.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. As to the military actions in the zone of conflict, the ATO forces continue offense simultaneously in several directions, narrowing the circle around the occupied by terrorist territories in the east of Ukraine. Today, in the first half of the day, aviation of Ukrainian forces hit the groups of terrorists at the outskirts of Makiyevka. The military equipment and fortifications of militants were destroyed. There's information about eliminating GRAD system, which was installed near Kirova coal mine, and it was launching missiles towards residential areas. There's information that the checkpoint of terrorists is also liquidated near Makiyevka. Now there's fighting going on near Avdiivka in Donetsk region. About 12:45 there was a shelling from GRAD system at the border cross point Mariinka from the territory of Russian Federation. Fortunately, there are no victims. In Donetsk railway near Donetsk station, the terrorists ruined the railway, and the trains, the movement of trains is suspended. There's information that in Donetsk, the militants organized on the territory of the central hospital there, headquarters and hospital in Yanakieva, Russian mercenaries put mines to most of the agricultural lands in order not to allow harvest. From Novoshakhtinsk of Rostov region of Russian Federation, we notice the groups of militants who go in the direction of the state border of Ukraine. The militants who come to Donetsk from Russian Federation organize their barracks and firing points in the educational establishments of the city, in the settlements of Donetsk region, which are temporarily under the control of terrorists. The residents cannot start preparing to heating system. All men who are seen by militants are forcefully sent to organize fortifications. Today, the Security Service of Ukraine gave proof of the shelling, which is also confirmed by the satellite shots made near Marinivka and Grigorievka of Donetsk regions. Here you can see the shots, you see the location and movement of the convoy. You see how they are moving. That's the result of air photo shooting. That's the borderline with Russia Federation. That's movement on the territory of Ukraine. There are the places where Russian subversive groups enter Ukraine. Also, you can see the traces from launching the missiles of Grad batteries. You see that the Russians were going 1-2 kilometers into Ukrainian territory. After that, they were taking the equipment back to Russia. All these shots you can get after the briefing. Besides that, in the result of the satellite survey of the ATO area in the border area of Donetsk region, the Security Service of Ukraine found the corridor of supplying Russian military equipment and armaments, which Russian terrorists had across Ukrainian fields. You can see here the armored equipment that was brought from the territory of Russian Federation to Ukraine. Also, places of illegal crossing of the state border of Ukraine by subversive groups from Russian Federation. The shots also certify to the fact that the automobiles of technical reconnaissance of Russian Federation were entering the territory of Ukraine, and they were adjusting the further movement of Russian equipment and subversive groups to the settlements in Lugansk and Donetsk regions. The Ukrainian Special Services qualified these actions on behalf of Russia as military terrorism. The evidence collected in July this year proves that there is military aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine. We would like to emphasize also that starting from the 31st July this year, the Security Service of Ukraine, together with the activists of the 39th Women 100 of Maidan, will open the hotline for joint combating separatism, terrorism, and corruption. The number is 0800 501 482. Calling this number, the citizens of Ukraine can inform the Security Service of Ukraine about any suspect persons, about the intentions to organize some separatist, terrorist, or subversive activity, and also about corruption of civil servants. As to the situation in the settlements in the zone of conflict, the groups which are clearing mines, which participate in the ATO, the groups of the armed forces of Ukraine, continue to work in the liberated settlements of Lugansk and Donetsk regions. The specialists in clearing mines, they deal with many tripwires and ammunition and shells that did not explode. During the ATO operation, such specialists cleared from mines 45 objects of local infrastructure. Such explosives are found everywhere, in schools and kindergarten even. The terrorists leave mined the water collectors and railways and other important objects. According to the armed forces of Ukraine, the groups which are cleaning from mines during the period of their operation, they have detected and made and cleared 3,314 explosives. And we have a good news as to establishing peaceful life in the cities which are liberated. Like in all micro-regions of Slavyansk, the energy supply has been restored, and that means 14 micro-regions. For that, the work of 2 sub-electric power plants are resumed. In multi-storied buildings of the city, 201 elevators started working, 26 are to be repaired. Besides that, the 2 filter stations of the company Water of Donbass has been renewed, and that allowed to resume water supply to 12 microregions of the city. Out of 21 kindergarten, 19 are already connected to energy and water supply. Out of 26 schools, only 2 are still without water and electricity. The specialists ensure that before the education year starts, all these schools will be ready to receive children. Today, there was a ceremony of transferring to Ukrainian military the new armored ambulance BMM 70, which was created on the basis of armored personnel carrier BTR 70. This ambulance has all the necessary equipment, is ready to go to ATO zone. The money for that were granted by the companies Green to Sex, VIP Trade, and Mykolaiv Oblenergo. This vehicle was created in close cooperation with military medical specialists, and we need to mention that immediately after that ceremony, the vehicle immediately went to the zone of ATO. I promised to give you information as to the number of killed and wounded as of 12 o'clock. From the beginning of the ATO, 363 Ukrainian military were killed, 1,434 were wounded. Your questions.
Two short questions. First, could you be more precise about the information on ballistic missiles? What did they mean by ballistic missiles? And if not ballistic missiles were used, then what kind of weaponry the anti-terrorist operation forces have? Second question, Mr. Lavrov, the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Russia, at the meeting with young diplomats in Tajikistan, said that Ukraine has not stopped combat action in the zone of the crash site of the Boeing, and that it is necessary to think about peacekeeping mission. Thank you for these good questions. As far as ballistic missiles are concerned, the matter is that the information that was spread on the well-known TV channels, they spoke about ballistic missiles of a short range. I told you that the last ballistic missile that Ukraine had on its territory was made safe on the 1st of July of 1996, according to the US-funded program of lowering risks. We do not have such missiles in our disposal. As far as other kinds of weapons are concerned, these are conventional weapons, and the weaponry with the anti-terrorist operation forces are, they almost all the kinds of armed forces are there, including land forces, mobile forces, air forces, missile and forces and artillery. So our land forces, I mean infantry, and on the coast of the Sea of Azov, the border guards are being held by some naval vessels that are patrolling the coastline. So almost all the kinds of Ukrainian armed forces take part in the anti-terrorist operation. As far as the statement of Mr. Lavrov in Tajikistan is concerned, such a high-ranking diplomat maybe does not have the right to use rumors from the Eastern Bazaar, because it is right on the territory of the crash site of Boeing 777. Ukrainian military have not waged and do not wage any combat action. On the contrary, there's an information that terrorists and militants have located there heavy artillery systems, and more than that, the perimeter at in some locations is mined, and this says that Mr. Lavrov does not know zilch about what's going on in Ukraine. Maybe he uses Russian Federation's mass media where they do not tell the truth so far. Could you tell us, I have a question about the 17 hostages from Gorlivka. Some mass media say that they were freed in exchange for one lover of the terrorist. I know only that 17 people have seen the world the way it has to be, and the details of this exchange are not made public in official sources. I am a wife of a military serviceman, and on behalf of all the mothers and wives who are now in the House of Officers in Kiev, I want to ask you why there is no help and reinforcement for 79 and 82 brigades, and why do you say that there are reinforcements if there's no reinforcements? Please show respect to mothers and wives of our servicemen and come to the House of Officers Today in the morning, at the morning briefing, there was a wife from the brigade that you named. After the briefing, he came to me and said that I got a text message where my husband writes to me that they've got everything. First they got food and then they got ammunition. It's impossible to deliver everything at once. This comes in stages. Again, the question about Brigade 72. Today they've staged a picket, relatives of the soldiers, and said that there's no corridor for them. How true this is, because they say that soldiers from the war zone told them so. At the moment, as of today, I'll probably repeat myself, because we taken the dominating heights of Urmagila, we have made broader the corridor for those who hold defense at these limits. Before that, when Savur Mogila was controlled by the terrorists, they were firing in the back of our military people, and they also shelled our military from the territory of the Russian Federation. Now, when we seized the height, there is a corridor through which we deliver ammunition and everything that is necessary for combat. More than that, because of the active offensive of our troops between Popasna and Pervomaisk, at the moment the situation unfolds in which some detachments of terrorists will be cut off supplies, and now there's combat action there. You will have to understand that they will not stop. The combat action will not stop. So I cannot tell you that, for instance, at noon, at 3 p.m. or at 6 p.m., ammunition and everything is being delivered. This would be lies. We deliver it according to the opportunity, because those who deliver are also under threat. But the guys are not left alone. They are not abandoned. They are heroes. They are fighting, and no one has abandoned them. This is a battle situation. You can understand this. This is not just reinforced regions. Those are subversive groups that are in ravines and in the woods, who are destroying bridges and roads, and people who deliver also are dying, and we do not talk about them much. I just pray to God that you understand, everybody understands, that everyone is in hard conditions there, and mothers and wives of those who deliver ammunition and food to our encircled troops. They also have the right to come here and say that they are under threat. Please understand that everyone is under fire now.
Two brief questions. First, the president before the elections promised that the servicemen in a toll zone will be earning 1,500 hryvnias a day, and how much are they getting now? And please comment on the information that was on Union that near Lugansk airport 12 Ukrainian servicemen were captivated by terrorists, and 2 of them perished, and that happened on the 26th of July, and they are in Krasnodon. So talking about the salaries for soldiers, I am not ready to give you the exact information. Talking about 26th of July, 4 days ago, we don't have that information. I read today the information that as if near Lugansk 2 tanks were destroyed and 11 people were captivated. I asked that question to the headquarters of ATO, and they said that Union was saying that the tanks were coming from Lugansk airport. They were trying to break through, but they didn't need to break through. There's a free entry. There was basically no need to break through because I believe that the information was distorted from the very beginning. Today, the mission of OSCE started acting from Russian side at the border, and they will be working in Gukova and Donetsk Rostov region. Are these cross points important? We have a lot of information that the main groups of militants and equipment come from different sectors of Russian-Ukrainian border in Lugansk region, not in Donetsk region. Is that control over two cross points can influence the situation? Thank you for your question. This is probably the question to the representatives of OSCE, where Russian border guards and Russian authorities allowed them to work. They work in these places. They were sent to places where there's no active military action. And the objective of their mission, as far as I remember, is not observe but monitor the situation. That's the difference. And I believe there are 16 of them there for these sections of the border. You can just imagine what can 16 persons do. Next to them, everything will be quiet. But at the same time, they make sure that groups of subversive groups, like today 7 tanks cross the border, such tanks will not go near OSCE representatives. They create the conditions so that the representatives of OSCE do not see any threat. Wall Street Journal, you have just mentioned 7 tanks that crossed the border today at night. And what's your general understanding? What's the number of equipment and the support from the side of Russia to militants? After the aircraft was downed, has it increased or has it been reduced? Can you comment on how dynamically the situation was changing? The Russian Federation does not stop supply of equipment to militants and as well as people and ammunition. There's no dynamic. It's just a permanent process. This night, our border guards stopped the crossing of group of terrorists that had to take some military equipment to the territory of Ukraine. This group was neutralized. This equipment did not cross, but 7 tanks on another section, which was under the control of terrorists, 7 tanks crossed the border. We cannot tell you what's the exact number of tanks, of armored personnel carriers, of cannons, of missile systems, of Grad batteries, and numbers of terrorists that our military will have to eliminate. One more question. Ukrainian radio. Our citizens are forming different types of assistance to guys in ATO zone. Does this assistance reach the guys? Have these supplies improved? Thank you for your question. The assistance which is rendered by volunteers is not a large scale, which is needed to provide for all forces of ATO, but the assistance which goes there and that reaches the target, this assistance is of dual importance, material and spiritual. Our people understand that they're not forgotten. Even those 5 sacks of potato or whatever, that's the support, and they feel it. And now the military have their own diet, which is not that big diet, but our volunteers, they send food, clothes, different armored helmets and bulletproof vests. That is a big support. And such support is of dual importance. It's more than just ammunition and food. Thank you. Any other questions? No more questions. Thank you. Tomorrow, I look forward to hearing you with updated information.